Hello and welcome. If you wanted to find out how to do the Skeleton King boss and greed is good hell, well, you came to the right place. The great news is that this is a mechanically simple boss, especially if your group is the only group in hell. And lastly, I'd like to say as a disclaimer that anything that you see in this video, any strategy, any mechanic is subject to change, and this was accurate at the time of the video. There's also some other strategies that I may not have spoken about in this video, or maybe even bugs that were used that I may be unaware of at this time. But this is how I did it, and this is how I would recommend any new player do it. With that being said, let's finally get into it. As you can see here on the map, it's relatively obvious where we're going. I left a marker on the map that you can see. This is where the Skeleton King spawns. It's a big circular room. And essentially the idea is that we clear the room before we aggro the Skeleton King. This was a common strategy we used. You can pull most of everything outside the room if you want. If you just shoot a bow and arrow at them, we can kind of walk in the room here in these clips that you see. You don't aggro him as of this video, but that may be subject to change in the future. But he basically has a bunch of skeletons that you want to clear in the beginning. Then once you've cleared the room, that's when you're safe to start the fight. Alright folks, we're going to get into the fight here in a second. So basically to explain this is I'm going to be tanking the boss, aka I'm going to be running around in a circle, kiting the boss around. It's a very simple mechanic. I'm playing as a fighter, I have sprint, I have second wind as an emergency, and we're good to go. Basically the two major mechanics of this boss that you want to worry about is one, make sure the guy kiting it doesn't get hit by the boss necessarily. Two, this boss will summon 4 skeleton archers when he points his sword directly up in the air. It's really obvious. You'll find out real quick. Second thing to worry about, he just summoned skeletons as we can see. The second thing to worry about is that when he points his sword forward, you're going to have to jump away or still head in the direction you were running as to not get hit by the AoE that spawns on your ground at the position that he points his sword forward. And we'll see this here just in a second. Now I'll explain 2 things on how to deal with the skeleton archers. Right here, he points his sword forward. That's an AoE. It will hit everybody in the room if they don't jump forward, okay? Or outrun it, whichever the case. Either way, get away from that when he does that, and somebody should call that out most likely. He has a life drain that you will see here in a second. And what I do for the life drain is that I will try to gain distance. It lasts about 6 seconds, and it's good for me because I have second wind. I can easily heal. The 2 ways we found best to deal with the skeletal archers that he will summon. One, a cleric has the ability to do an AoE undead like damage spell, easily wipe them. In this instance, we didn't use that spell as it took a slot. We decided to just have the other 2 guys DPS down the archers while I was DPSing down the boss. Seemed to work pretty well. Again, there's multiple ways of doing this. This is just the way we did it. Essentially, that's rinse and repeat. That is the way we did this boss. You see me hitting him with the spear because I was testing to see the timings of it. You can very much melee this boss if you have like a spear or have enough movement speed. It's a very simple boss. It's basically those 3 or 4 mechanics. As you can see, he's doing a life drain. I'm uncertain if that actually heals him or if that's just a drain off of you. I have no idea. Someone can confirm that in the comments below. But it's basically that simple. That's it. I'm just going to play out the rest of the video. He does another AoE attack. My guys take some damage. But again, you can either have another DPSing him down immediately, or you could just, you know, have your guys just deal with the skeleton archers. They're really simple. They're not the strongest. Pretty easy fight. He's about to go down. As you can see, there's a funny visual glitch. And you're about to see the loot that we get. And boy, let me tell you, one thing I gotta say about this boss is the gear was pretty inconsistent. We did it a decent bit of times, or I did it a decent bit of times in other groups, and this is like the worst loot. 2 greens. I hope they update it and change things of that nature with how consistent the gear actually is from killing a boss like this, but you know, we'll see. But either way, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know how you did things different, if at all.